And welcome back to the Standard Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Chris. Jono's not going to be with me today. I hope everyone had a happy and healthy and feast-filled Thanksgiving. We had 4 matchups over the Thanksgiving holiday and Black Friday. I got to watch my Jets get absolutely trounced today, and it was absolutely horrible. Had to turn the game off. And continue drinking and celebrating the holiday. But here I am bringing you this week's matchup. Before I begin, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the notifications. Just get up to date on all of our new content that is dropping. Let's go ahead and begin with the slate. So the first game we got up is the Steelers and the Bengals. The Steelers you see up on screen here. Kenny Pickett is still going to be a caution, just like he was last week. I think he is start worthy. The Bengals defense has been playing tough. With no Joe Burrow, I think the Bengals are going to pick it up defensively and limit how much Kenny Pickett is able to throw the ball. He hasn't looked great. Who knows what this offense is going to look like without Matt Canada calling plays? Should be looking better. They have plenty of talent on the team. It's just we don't know what to expect. Najee Harris is still going to be a sit for us. Jaylen Warren is absolutely electric. We said this last week that he was going to take over, and he absolutely took over the game last week. He should be a start in every lineup. Najee should be a sit in almost every lineup. Last week, we kind of had the wide receivers flip-flopped. Deontay was a start. George Pickens was a sit. I think this week, George Pickens is going to be featured a little bit more. Deontay Johnson he just hasn't looked like himself in the last 2 weeks. He's going through these weeks where he has 2 straight weeks of getting targeted, hyper-targeted, gets a touchdown, and then after the game with the touchdown, he's been super, super quiet. He's been getting targets, just the catches have been significantly down. So I don't know how much I can trust him getting the ball to him. Pickens, I think, is going to get targeted a lot. I think he ends up with a touchdown in this game, in a divisional game, where I do think the Steelers end up winning. I love the Steelers' defense in this game. Go ahead and fire them up. We have no idea what Jake Browning is going to look like in a full start, especially with against an elite defense like the Steelers. Move over to the Bengals. The Bengals, Jake Browning, you have no reason to be starting him. There's no weeks, and there's no bye weeks this week, so you should have your full complement of players. Mixon's still going to be a start. I think they're going to feature him a lot more rest of season. So for Mixon owners, it's great news. For everyone else on the Bengals, it's terrible news. Browning didn't look that effective when he came in. Jamar Chase was shut out other than that 1 8-yard touchdown last week. I have him up here as a start. You have to start Jamar Chase, but he's a caution. So temper your expectations because I don't think he's going to get featured a whole lot and targeted a whole lot, especially against this defense. He's going to get after the quarterback. He's going to put a lot of pressure on a young guy that hasn't had a lot of reps, especially, like I said, against an elite defense. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Irv Smith, everyone else, go ahead and sit. The Cincinnati Bengals defense, I do have a sit here, but I think that they're borderline. So if you don't have a really elite defense, if you don't like the matchup that your defense is going against, I do think you can make the argument for them to be in that start category. I don't have them there myself. I do think that there are a lot of good matchups for defenses this week. But let's say like you're an Eagles defensive owner, you're going against the Bills. Like how much do you actually trust them? How much do you trust them getting after the quarterback? They're going to have a lot of points. If you have between the Eagles and the Bengals, maybe give the Bengals a try this week. I think that they do have a plus matchup. I don't like the offense from Pittsburgh, but again, Pittsburgh could come out and run a completely different offensive set than we've seen with the new offensive coordinator. Like I said, they do have plenty of talent on the team, so I do think there's just a pump the brakes on the Cincinnati Bengals. But if you're in desperation, they're a decent start just based on the matchup. Moving on to the next game, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Houston Texans in a heavyweight battle. Who thought we would be saying that in Week 12? That the Houston Texans, the Jacksonville Jaguars, is a heavyweight matchup. But I do believe offensively this is a really good matchup. I think the Jaguars are going to start getting things moving a little bit better. They looked great last week. Trevor Lawrence, caution tags off of him. Go ahead and start him. Same with Travis Etienne. Calvin Ridley is a start for us this week. Christian Kirk is a start for us this week. Evan Ingram is a sit for us this week. I don't like either defense in this game because I do think that both offenses are going to take advantage of each other. This might go into a shootout. I really, really like this game. This is one of the games I'm looking most forward to this weekend in the limited slate that we have on Sunday. Moving on to the Houston Texans, we got C.J. Stroud as a start. He should be a start in all formats. Dameon Pierce, whether he goes or not, he's still going to be a sit for us. Singletary still having the caution on us because if Pierce plays, what are they going to do with the workload back there? Singletary's been great as a feature back. I don't know, and I think it earned him a lot more touches. I just don't know how much they're going to use him with another running back in there getting some of the work. If they go back to what they were doing early in the season, or even go to a 50-50 split, is that enough to make Devin Singletary worth playing? So I would temper your expectations with him as well. Hit the caution brakes. The one big thing is that Noah Brown is not going to be playing in this game. So with Nico Collins and Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz, go ahead and fire all those guys up. I think that they're going to continue to hog the volume there. Robert Woods, again, being the odd man out. I do think he's going to get involved in this offense. I just like these guys so much better. And again, the Houston Texans, go ahead and sit that defense because they're playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars in a game that I do think has the ability to go into a shootout. Both these teams have all the weapons and all the explosive players to be able to do that. In terms of like the pass catchers for the Texans, Tank Dell's been the most impressive. He's a guy you should be firing up in every single league. He was a guy that I was high on early in the season. As soon as he got drafted, I'm going to keep tooting my own horn on this just because I was on him the second he got drafted. I thought this was going to be, I didn't know it was going to be this quick for him to be this relevant, but he looks like the best wide receiver out of this rookie class. And we're week 12, and he continues to get better and better and better. His route tree is, he can run every route in the route tree. He gets open to the top of his routes. He gets separation. He can catch almost everything. He's been absolutely fantastic and a favorite target of C.J. Stroud. So as C.J. Stroud's evolved, Tank Dell has been much more involved, and he's been absolutely great this year. And if you had him on your team, if you drafted him, if you got him off the waivers early in the season, you really lucked out. And he's a guy that's going to be a viable starter week in and week out for the remainder of the season into the playoffs. And he has a really feisty playoff matchup or playoff matchups going into fantasy playoffs. Next matchup we got is the Buccaneers and the Colts. Start with the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield's going to be a start for us this week. I really like him in this matchup. Same with Rachaad White, Chris Godwin, and Mike Evans. The pass catchers in this offense I really, really like against a Colts team that is they're falling apart. They get rid of Shaq Leonard. They cut him from the team, one of their leaders in the clubhouse. And I really don't know what they're doing with that move. And defensively, it weakens them. I've been liking the Buccaneers offense for this season, and I think Baker's been playing really, really good ball. Rachaad White's been really good out of the backfield. In the last couple of weeks, he's really turned it on. He's really been involved a lot more, not just in the rushing attack, but in the passing game. I like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, and Cade Otton is a sleeper for us at the tight end position this week. I'm going to still sit the Tampa Bay defense because I do actually like a couple of guys in the for the Colts offense this week. So they're another one like the Bengals that are kind of borderline for me, where I can make an argument either way, whether they're a start or a sit. I have them here listed as a sit for me, but if you were if you're in a matchup where you really like the defense that you had, or you kind of sat one of the defenses over the Thanksgiving break. This is a team that you can go and pick up. They're not really highly owned. You can go and get them and start them and feel pretty comfortable that they're going to get you at least average amount of points. Moving on to the Colts. Gardner Minshew is going to be a sit for us. He's, again, a little bit of a borderline for me. I didn't want to put a start and a caution on him, so I have him as a sit. But Jonathan Taylor is going to be a start for me. Zach Moss is going to be a sleeper. Michael Pittman, fire him up across all formats. I think he's going to have a really good game this game. I know the Buccaneers defense has been pretty good, but he comes to play. Even if it's in garbage time and they're behind, he's going to get his. So I really like him. Other than those guys, I don't really like anyone else starting here for the Indianapolis Colts. Moving along, we got the Saints and the Falcons divisional matchup. This should be another good one. Very similar to what we had last week. There's going to be a lot of green here that you see. Kamara is going to be a start. Olave is going to be a start. Rashid Shaheed is going to be a start. Taysom Hill is going to be a start. Derek Carr is going to be a start for us. If Derek Carr is back and healthy in this game, this offense is going to be looking to dink and dunk the ball away. I know that hurts Olave a little bit, but I still think Olave is going to be a start, especially with Michael Thomas out for the season. Another guy up here that we didn't mention is A.T. Perry. He's a guy that I can't get to the sleeper status yet for him. I do like him as being a guy that's going to be more involved into this offense. I just don't know how much I like him. As I think there's so many better options out there. You got to be super desperate if you're playing A.T. Perry, or if you're in a 14, to 16 man league and you're super deep, or you have 4 or 5 flex positions. I mean, there are some leagues like that. We don't really talk about that too much on this channel, but it's got to be super deep for you to start A.T. Perry. Again, there are a lot of better options out there. Even some of the guys on the Giants, I kind of like over him, just because that game should be an absolute mess between the Giants and the Patriots that we'll talk about later on. As for the Falcons, Desmond Ridder gets to start again, so this offense is back to being really inconsistent in the passing game. I don't know how much I can trust everyone there. Drake London is going to be a sleeper for me. He should be more of a start with caution. I put him as a sleeper here just because I know in a lot of formats they're going to sit him. And so I think you should start him with a little bit of caution, but he's kind of that borderline guy for me. I'd rather put him with a more positive spin as he's a sleeper, rather than saying he's a sit category for me, but he has upside, rather than being, hey, he's a start category for me and he has a lot of downside to him. Kyle Pitts is going to take a big hit for this. He's been more involved with Taylor Heineke. I think Jonnu Smith gets a big bump in his play. I think Jonnu Smith, again, is now a legitimate tight end with Desmond Ridder at the helm. It says Desmond Ridder's here is a start. That should be a sit for me, but Bijan Robinson is going to be a start for me. He's been getting more involved in this offense. I really like the usage that they've been getting out of him. I wish he got more goal line carries, but he isn't. This is something we cautioned on early in the season when you drafted him in the first or second round, that he's going to have a lot of goal line touches taken away from him. The next game we got is the Patriots and the Giants. Told you we'd get to it. So we are here at one of the messiest games of the weekend between the Patriots and the Giants. Patriots, the only guys you're starting are Ramondre Stevenson, Hunter Henry, and this defense. Demario Douglas is going to be a sleeper, but I don't really trust anyone else in here. I can make an argument for Ezekiel Elliott being a sleeper in this because I think that they're going to heavily focus on running the ball, but we don't really know at this point who the starting quarterback is going to be. Either it's going to be Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi. And without that unknown, either way, I think that they're going to focus on running the football or getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands fairly quickly. So the deep shots, I don't see for any of the wide receivers. Demario Douglas has been a guy that his ADOT is not super high. They want to get the ball into his hands and let him make plays. Same thing with Ramondre Stevenson, just dunking it down to him, and the pass-catching tight ends with Hunter Henry and Gesicki. And even if you wanted to throw Gesicki out there, I think he's a fairly good option for you to play. He wouldn't be on my top 12 or top 15 wide tight ends that I would play, but I think he has an ability to get involved in the end zone. Not the volume play, though. As for the Giants, last week was a fluke. I don't see them continuing on. Bill Belichick is notorious for just confusing the hell out of rookie quarterbacks and young quarterbacks, and I think that's going to happen here. I'm not starting anyone other than Saquon Barkley in this game. If I had to pick a wide receiver, we were just talking about AT Stills. If I had to pick a wide receiver that I would want to start, it would be Wan'Dale Robinson or Darius Slayton, just getting the deep play. But those are the guys that everyone else I'd really stay away from. And even with those guys, I don't really want a big part in. Next game we got is the Titans and the Panthers. We'll go to the Titans first. I do think Will Levis is a sleeper this week. I really like him in this matchup. Derrick Henry has a feast matchup in this week. If he can't get it done this week, I'm really worried about him going into the fantasy playoffs against Houston twice. He's got to eat for chunks. This is a really good matchup for running backs. So Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears should get involved a lot more. It's going to open up the big play downfield. DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a start for us this week, and that's where I think what Will Levis has a chance to really get himself involved. Burks, Okonkwo, and this defense all going to be sets for us. And the Panthers is a lot of the same, right? The Panthers, it's hard to trust anyone in that offense other than Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen's going to get his. He's been the veteran all season, but everyone else there really hasn't been effective. They really haven't stepped up and been consistent at all. And until there's yardage and the offense really takes the next step, I don't really think that this is an offense that I really want a part of other than Thielen. Then they're just not scoring enough. It's very similar to the Jets offense where there's one or two players, it's really at this point it's Garrett Wilson. Like even Breece Hall, I can make an argument for that he should be a sit week in and week out. The offensive line is terrible. He's relying on the big play, and that's pretty much it. If he's not getting a 50-yard touchdown, breaking one off or getting a screen pass and taking the distance, I really don't trust the guys like that. They can't get anything involved in the rushing attack, and even though Chuba Hubbard's been fairly effective, I just don't trust him that much. So the next matchup we got is the Rams and the Cardinals. The Rams does look like Cooper Kupp is going to play, and the much-awaited return of Kyren Williams. They got rid of Darrell Henderson this week, so he is no longer up on the screen, or he should no longer be on your fantasy team as well. Stafford is going to play. So Stafford back, Cooper Kupp back, like both those guys. Kyren Williams, no caution tag on him. Go ahead and fire him up. He's going to be heavily involved, just like he was in the beginning of the season. I don't think he's going to be scoring 2 to 3 touchdowns, every game, but I think he's going to be heavily involved into this offense. Tutu Atwell is going to be a sit. Tyler Higbee is going to be a sit. And I really don't like this defense too much. I think Arizona is playing really well with Kyler Murray's return. Moving on to more of the questions on who you should be starting and sitting in this game. So for the Cardinals, we have Kyler Murray as a start, James Conner as a start. Hollywood Brown is going to be a sit for me this week. Since Kyler's return, he really just hasn't been involved. Rondale Moore has been the guy that's getting a lot of volume. Michael Wilson's out again this week, so look for Rondale Moore to be heavily involved in this offense. Trey McBride to continue his just absolute tear down the field and pass catching. He's going to get the yardage. Again, this is another game where I think both the defenses are going to struggle and the offenses are really going to get at it. So I really like both the guys in this game, or both the offenses in this game, the quarterbacks and some of the pass catchers. I think Hollywood Brown could break out in this game. I haven't seen it. He's been getting two catches a game for the last couple of weeks, and I'm a Hollywood Brown owner, and I've suffered at the hands of that. He started in my lineups for the last 2 weeks, and he's been really disappointing. So moving forward, I got to sit him until I can really see, the production out of him. And if he was getting maybe 6 to 8 targets a game, sure, I can live with that just based on the volume. But he's not even getting that. Rondale Moore is getting the ball handed off to him. He's getting the ball thrown to him downfield. So I really just like the opportunities for him a lot more. So that's why I'm having those guys ranked the way I do. Moving on, we got the Browns and the Broncos. This is another really good matchup that I like this week. With the Broncos first, Russell Wilson's going to be a sleeper. I know he's facing the Browns. The Browns don't really, they're a great defense, the number 1 defense in the league. That's why Javonte Williams is a start with a caution. They're a great run defense, so I don't know if he's going to have a lot of room to move there. Russell Wilson is going to be a sleeper. That means that he is a sit with upside, right? They're going to be behind in this game, and just what we've seen out of DTR and this Browns offense last week, they struggled to move the ball. And if they struggle to move the ball, it's going to mean plus possessions for the Broncos. And they do have weapons on the outside. They have Jerry Jeudy, and Cortland Sutton's been on an absolute tear this year. He's been fantastic. So go ahead and fire him up. Everyone else I don't want a piece of. Even the Broncos defense, the reason that they're a sit, they've been playing really well, but the reason I have them as a sit is because the Browns' rushing attack has been really, really good. And I think that they're going to lean on both Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford. DTR can run the ball too. So they're going to keep moving the ball downfield. I don't think that they're going to get into the end zone as much, but I do think that they're going to put up yardage just based on that. Moving over to the Browns. DTR is going to be a set for us, but Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford are both going to be starts. Amari Cooper is a start with caution. What I don't like about Amari Cooper in this is that DTR is not fixated on one receiver. He's been fixated on the tight end. So David Njoku, big ups for him the rest of the season because he's been getting a lot of targets. Now, he's not doing a ton with them unless DTR really comes out throwing the ball. I don't know how much you can love any of the receivers on this team. Amari Cooper is going to be the guy. He was looked to on third downs. He was looked to on the big play. He was looked to downfield. It just wasn't connecting there yet. Maybe that changes, which is why I think he is a start, but with caution. And then the Browns defense, fire them up. They're going to get after Russ. Russ tends to make mistakes. He gets sacked a ton. So he's a guy that this is a defense I absolutely love. Now, here's a predicament that I'm going into again this week is I have the Browns and the Steelers defense, and who do I like more? They both have decent matchups. For me, I'm going with the Steelers against the Bengals rather than the Browns against the Broncos. I think it's really, really close, but I have the Browns knocked down just a little bit based on that matchup. But any defense that's facing, any elite defense that's facing a quarterback that's getting his second start in the NFL, I'm gonna take that defense. So the next matchup we got is the Raiders and the Chiefs, another divisional matchup. That should be a good one. I think that the Raiders typically play the Chiefs fairly tough. I don't think that the Raiders win this game. I think that they're going to get smoked in this game. But I've seen weirder things, and weirder things have happened, such as Green Bay just absolutely commanding the game over the Lions. Aiden O'Connell is going to be a sit. The only guys I really want to start for the Raiders are going to be Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. Everyone else is going to be a sit for me. I don't even have a sleeper option. The Chiefs defense has been really, really good. So I think that they're going to do a good job shutting down a lot of the secondary playmakers. Devontae Adams is going to get his. He's an elite wide receiver, and they're focused on getting him the ball. Same with Josh Jacobs, is he's running the ball really well. We said this about week 5, week 6, as the rust is off of him, and he should start improving more and more. And that's exactly what he's been doing. So moving on to the Chiefs, we get the Patrick Mahomes start, Pacheco start, all the usual suspects, as you will, are going to be starts for us. Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, and then the Chiefs defense, fire them up. They should feast off this Raiders offense. The wide receiver position for this team has been really hard to navigate. MVS would have had a huge game if he would have held on to the damn ball at the end of the game last week. Justin Watson had a nice touchdown, had his first touchdown of the season. He was heavily involved on a couple passes, but they spread the ball. Mahomes spreads the ball out way too much. Even Kelce is kind of is symptomatic of that this year. Is he's not getting hyper targeted the way he's been hyper targeted in the past. And this team has really focused around running the football a lot more. Pacheco's been the focal point of this offense, and Mahomes is this team, right? But Pacheco's been the feature piece of this offense, and then Mahomes has been able to be Mahomes off of that elite run game. The way Pacheco's been running the football, even when CEH has gotten the ball, he's been ripping off 10-yard runs here and there. So I really like Pacheco's probably my favorite player in this game. And then moving on to what should be the best game of the weekend is going to be the Bills and the Eagles. So go down the list of the Bills first. Josh Allen, again, the usual suspects are starters. You're starting Kincaid, you're starting Diggs, you're starting Allen. James Cook is going to be a caution for me. And this is a consistent theme that we've had all season long, is that the Eagles' rush defense is probably the hardest rush defense in the league. They have just some big boys up front that are going to stop any of the rushing and anyone from rushing the football on them. Josh Allen should be featured as a runner more in this game than in previous games, and the Bills look like they're going to be getting back on track. This is a tough game for the Eagles to go up against, especially because we have really, really good pass catchers. With Diggs should come back into his own this week. He's faced a couple of really tough matchups in the last couple of weeks, and his numbers have gone down. The Eagles' secondary is Swiss cheese, whereas they're not going to try to beat the Eagles at something that they're really good at. So I do think that they're going to pass a lot more in this game, which could be good or bad because Josh Allen has not been accurate, and they do have playmakers in that secondary for the Eagles. I do like Shakir in this game as well. I think he's a great secondary pass catcher over Gabe Davis. So if he's not on this list, but he is a sleeper for me. I do think that he's worth a start in a lot of leagues, especially as a flex play. If you do have him and you have some questions on that, shoot us a message in the comments. We'll be happy to answer that for you and give you some advice on who to start and sit. Moving on to the Eagles side of things. Again, not much has changed from week in and week out. You're starting Jalen Hurts, you're starting Swift, you're starting A.J. Brown, you're starting Devonta Smith. There's no cautions on all these guys. They should have really good games. I do think that Swift and Hurts are going to have good rushing games against this defense as well. They've been fairly decent against the pass. They've been weaker against the run. I think A.J. Brown does look to get back on track in this game. I think he's going to have a blow-up game. Last week, you saw the frustration on the sideline when he was getting shut down. I don't think that this, even though they won the game, at the end of the game, he's throwing a temper tantrum on the side of the field. I think he's going to get involved again, and he should be having a $125 or more in this game. I know that's a lot to put, to predict, but he's been doing that all season, so I don't think that there's any reason to say why he's not going to do it this week. So we got two matchups left. We got the Vikings and the Ravens and the Chargers, and then the Vikings and the Bears. So the Ravens and the Chargers, Lamar Jackson is going to be a start. And here's the big question is what do you do with Isaiah Likely, right? Isaiah Likely should be a plug and play guy. In the games and not this year, but last year in the games that Mark Andrews missed, he really stepped up and was heavily involved. You can see all the wide receivers are sits for us. Again, Odell Beckham had a really good game last week, but that was the only game that he really had a good game. Zay Flowers has been consistent, but he just hasn't been getting in the end zone. Bateman, Aguilar, they've had these guys that have these 30-yard catches, and they have a couple catches here or there. It's hard to predict on what wide receiver is really going to step up. Isaiah Likely should get some volume in this game. I don't think he's going to have the volume like Mark Andrews does, but I do see him getting 5 to 8 targets. And if he's getting 4 to 6 catches of that, he should have a pretty good game, especially if he finds the end zone. Keaton Mitchell is going to be a sleeper for us, and Gus Edwards is, again, a caution for us. I think Keaton Mitchell's usage is going to go up and up. So I think he had 8 rushes last week. I think he's going to be expected to have more, especially against the Chargers, who are not very good against the run. So I like Gus Edwards in this game. I'm still starting him, even though there's a caution. The caution is more for the fact that Keaton Mitchell is probably going to get a little bit more involved in this game, and it's going to take away touches from Gus. And then obviously Lamar is going to be running the ball up and down the field. So I like the rushing attack for the Ravens in this game. So if you have any one of these guys, they're worth a start. Moving on to the Chargers, they're going to be behind in this game, I think. So you like the pass catchers. The thing is that other than Keenan Allen, the pass catchers can't catch the freaking ball. Quentin Johnson has hands made of rocks, and he's been dropping big plays. The big play at the end of the game last week, he just dropped. Jalen Guyton, I thought, was going to be a lot more involved than he is, and he just isn't. It's been just Eckler, Keenan Allen, and even Parham. And so those are the guys I'm going to start. Outside of that, I really don't trust anyone, and I'm certainly not starting the Chargers defense without Joey Bosa, especially against the Ravens. So if you have the big playmakers for the Chargers, go ahead and start them. And if Donald Parham is going to be involved in that, I think he's a really good tight end to play this week, especially because the tight end position for a lot of people has been up in the air and big question marks. So go ahead and start him. You'll like the way you look. Last game of the week. My throat's dry. Gonna need a drink after this. We got the Bears and the Vikings. The Bears looked good last week. Justin Fields looked good last week. Wish he had another touchdown. His week would have been a heck of a lot better. He had over 100 rushing yards. And then, what him coming back has done for DJ Moore. DJ Moore is back to being a number 1 wide receiver. So fire DJ Moore up. Whatever running back is going to end up getting the start in this game, I like. If Deontay Foreman doesn't go, then Khalil Herbert, fire him up. If Deontay Foreman does go, I still do like both these guys as a start. because I think that they're going to focus on running the football a lot more. This is going to be a tough game. The Vikings defense has been playing tough, and they're going to be behind in this game. I like Khalil Herbert. I don't like Roshan Johnson. And if Foreman does play again, they're going to split touches, and I do think that they're going to get a lot of opportunities. And moving on to the Vikings, last but not least, there's a lot of green here. Justin Jefferson is not playing in this game. I'm not trusting KJ Osborne. If anything, Powell I like a lot more than KJ Osborne. Jordan Addison, you're going to start. T.J. Hawkinson, you're going to start. Madison, you're going to start. Even Ty Chandler, I think he's a sleeper in this game. Josh Dobbs, go ahead and start him. He's been absolutely fantastic since moving over to the Vikings. And then this Vikings defense, they've been playing really, really good football in this 5-game win streak. So continue to fire them up. They get after the quarterback. They're causing turnovers, and they should continue this win streak and knock the Bears down where they belong, which is in the bottom of the league. That's it. We made it through. Quickest I've ever done it, although we had 4 games from the slate gone already. So I did have a little advantage. It's just over a half hour. Go ahead. I hope you're enjoying your cup of joe on Saturday morning. If you have any questions, comments on start sits, maybe even flex plays, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and we'll get back to you before the games start on Sunday. Good luck in your matchups, everyone. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Hit that notification button to keep up to date with all of our stuff. Good luck, guys.